someone else has been teaching you from the team, so you're probably seeing my face for the first time. But I'm Nanisha. It's nice to meet all of you guys. So I'm not sure if it's just going to be me today from the team, but if you have any questions at any point, just put it in the meeting chat or put your hand up with the little emoji and I will stop and answer your questions. But please ask questions if you have any. And I think we are good to get started. So today we're doing some stuff with spreadsheets and how to use LLMs with spreadsheets. So we're going to see what, sorry, 1 second, let me go back a second. So we're going to see how to put some stuff into practice. And I think we have, okay. So I've just put the link in again, and you can also scan the QR code to fill it out as well. So I'm just gonna wait on this slide for a couple of minutes and make sure everyone's up to the same point. If you have any issues with the link or getting onto that, just let me know. I've just sent the link again, so hopefully that should work. And Linda, your company is blocking access. Let me check what's happening with that and get back to you by the end of the session. I'm sure someone in our team will be able to help you out with that. So 1 second.
What's up, Jamie?
Okay, once you guys are ready to move on, just give me a thumbs up, or we can wait a couple of minutes. There's no rush. We've got a message from Tonya, which says, I was able to get to the form using my non-company phone. So I think if you want to try that, then maybe that will help. Okay, I'm seeing some thumbs up. We can wait a minute or two and then move on. Okay, so I know we've got quite a bit to cover today, so I'm going to press on. But if you guys have any issues with the link or anything, just drop a message in the chat. I'm still looking at the chat, and we can sort that out. But if you're still filling it out, you can just listen to what I'm saying while you're doing that, and we will wait before we start doing anything practical. Okay, so today we're looking at an API. And so an API is basically like a tool that you can, there's a bunch of things within that you can use when you're programming. And so it's like it says here, it's like a set of protocols, routines, tools for building software applications. So within one API, you can have a bunch of different functions that you can use for different things, but it's all packaged together. So then if you want to use any of those things or like multiple things, it's very easy to just, it's like kind of like a box. You can take the entire box and then you can use multiple things that are part of that API as part of your application. And so it's quite helpful. And what it does is it basically instructs these components about how they should interact and communicate with each other. And there's like a lot of bits within that, which basically says how messages should be sent, information should be shared between different parts of an application. So, for example, if you're saying, oh, I really need to get some information from this thing, like users information, then the API will specify, oh, okay, so this is how we're going to take that information. This is where it's going to go. And so all of these things are happening behind the scenes, and they're things that you don't really need to worry about. And so you can focus on doing surface level things, but all you need to do is just import this thing, which then does this work behind the scenes. And like I've just said, it can be used to access data from external sources as well. So if you want to know things like how the weather is today, you can then use this API or, like any specific API. And once you use that, it can then fetch this information for you without you having to actually do any of the work. You can also use it with social media platforms, and you can, people use it for gathering data about football or like how many people are accessing something specific. And through this, you can then add this into existing applications that you might be creating or you might be working on, and it will then do this data fetching using this data for you without you having to actually do it yourself. And so I'm sure a lot of you will have used ChatGPT before, but what actually is behind the scenes is this API, which we can then, instead of using the actual site and then going onto the site and asking them questions there, what we can do is they've provided this API, this set of tools that we can then import and then use elsewhere. So, for example, if I create an app, I can then use this API, and within that app, I can then ask questions, get responses back instead of having to go to the ChatGPT website. So I know a lot of you will have gone to the website and done it, but this is just something cool that you guys can do. And so there's some examples here that you can do with it. So one of them is faster responses because the website is quite slow. If you've used it, you might notice this sometimes. Something else that you can do is sending multiple prompts at once. If you've used the website, you can see you ask one question, you get a response, and then you ask another question. Whereas with this, you can have multiple people sending these questions to this app, or you can send multiple questions, it will send multiple answers back. You can also integrate it with third-party tools like apps that you've made yourself or existing tools like Google Sheets. So that's something that we're going to do today. But this is just an example to explain before we actually get on to doing it. And like it says here, lots of professionals, digital marketers love using Google Sheets, as I'm sure you guys might have used that too. You can connect your spreadsheets to external services using JavaScript in one of these special types of files called an app script file. And I know you're probably thinking, I'm not really sure what's happening here, but you'll get to see this in a few minutes when we actually try it yourself. And so within Google Sheets, so you might have used Excel, you might have used Sheets before, but you can actually use this with an API, like I've been mentioning from when we started. So you can then connect these two things together. And by doing that, you can then use ChatGPT within your spreadsheet. And you'll see that when we actually get on to doing it. But this is just kind of like a high level, this is what we're going to be doing today. And now I'm going to guide you through how we're actually going to integrate these tools together. Before I kind of dive into this, are there any questions? Is anyone struggling with anything? Or are we happy to carry on? Give me a thumbs up if you're fine with everything. I'm seeing some thumbs up. Is the whole lesson Google Sheet based? So the example that we're working on today is going to be Google Sheet based, but that's just for today. It's just to see an example of how this can be used. Once you see how it can be used, you'll be able to understand how you could use this in a different context. But yeah, today's session will be Google Sheet based. Okay, I think we'll get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get an OpenAI API key. So I'm just going to, so 1 second. I am going to share the link with you guys. I've just sent that into the chat. Hopefully you guys can see that. If you guys can't see that link, just let me know. So once you get onto the link, it should look something like this. You will have to be signed into your Google account in order to be on this sort of page. It might not be this page exactly, but you should be on the OpenAI website. So if you're not seeing this, or if you're taking you somewhere else, the link's blocked, just let me know in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing any worried messages in the chat, so that looks good. I will just let you know what the next thing is, just in case everyone is at this point. But what you will do next is you will click on this, create new secret key, and it should show you something like this. And what you do is you can name it if you want, or you can just keep all these default options and then just click create secret key. You guys are still seeing the PowerPoint. Hang on. Are you guys seeing this now? Okay, great. So once you're on this, let me go back actually because you did not see that. You click on create new secret key in the top right corner over there. And then something like this will come up. You don't need to change anything here if you don't want to. You don't need to name it or anything. You can just keep all of the default options. Just make sure it's owned by you, and everything else can stay the same as what you can see on my screen. So I created one earlier on. I'm not actually going to click on create secret key, but at this point, you guys need to click on create secret key so it creates your key for you. So let's just pretend I clicked on that, but then it will come up for you, and then it will show you something like this, like you can see on my screen, with like its name, the actual key, which will be in full for you when you create it. You'll need to save that secret key so you can use it later on. And here you can see this information. Is anyone struggling to get onto this particular page in order to create the key, or is everyone at this point? It's fine if you haven't actually created it yet, but has everyone got to this point? If you have any questions, if you need any help, just drop a message in the chat. Okay. While we're waiting for everyone to be at the same point, I can just show you this actual page that we're on right now. This isn't really part of what we're doing, but just for anyone that's curious. So on the OpenAI website, you can see there's like a playground where you can actually use some of the functions. So there's like a thing that you can use to create a chatbot, assistants, conversations, text to speech. These are some of the new things that they've created that we can then integrate into our work, into our apps and stuff. But this is where you actually create it and you can actually kind of manage the things that you've created. And there's some more things that like you can change the settings for how much storage, how much things you like. If I just show you like the cost usage, stuff like that. And there's like a lot of interesting things on this website. I don't see any questions. I think you guys might be at the same point, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Right, so once you've created your key, make sure you make a copy of it. You can just save it somewhere in like a notepad or something. But we're gonna need that in a few minutes, so make sure you make a note of that. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to open a new Google Sheet. So if you log into your Google account, please visit this website. Let me just share that in the chat in a second, and then create a new blank sheet. So there should be something in the corner of your drive that says create new or something like that with a plus sign. And once you click on that, it will then come up with an option to create a new sheet. So once you've clicked on that and you have a spreadsheet that looks something like this, just give me a thumbs up in the chat and we will continue. But let me just wait for a couple minutes. Is the text-to-speech better than Microsoft for dyslexic users? I am not entirely sure, but I will check and get back to you on that. That's an interesting question. One that I will look at now, actually. But yeah, if you guys want to just save your key, open a new Google Sheet, and then let me know when you're done with that, and we'll wait here for a few minutes to make sure everyone is good. Hi, Zach. What was the message you displayed previous to this page? Was it this that you're talking about? Will you share this recording? Yes, this will be recorded and then shared with you guys, so don't worry about that. Back to a while ago. There was a question, from Linda about your company blocking access to the page. If you weren't able to do it from a non-company phone or device, if you email this email address that I've just sent into the chat, our team should be able to get you checked in for the session. So don't worry at all if the link wasn't working. If you just email this email address that I've just sent and you say that you're at the session, you should be checked in. So hopefully that answers your question. And let me see. Does everyone have a Google Sheet open? Let me just. Oh, great. Looks like most people are ready to move on. If you are very behind, if you have any questions, just message in the chat and I am here to help. So don't worry, don't feel rushed or anything. We are going to take it easy. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to create an app script. So like I was saying, this is a special type of file that's written in JavaScript. And don't worry if you don't know what's happening yet. I will show you exactly how to do this. So once you have your Google Sheet open, like so, I think you guys can see this, right? If you go to the top and you see the menu up here, you can see extensions as one of the options. So if you click on extensions, and then you can see there's something there that says app script. Hopefully everyone can see that. If you are not seeing that for some reason, just let me know in the chat. But once you see that, just click on that and something will open a little bit slowly, but it will open. Right. So I think you guys can see this. So you can see there's a little bit of code here. You can see there's this thing that says files on the side. It says code.js, libraries, oops, services, and right now it's very empty. There's not much happening here. We will be putting something in there as soon as everyone is at this point. The thing that you'll put in there, I will just put in the chat. You're not seeing the PowerPoint chart. Sorry, 1 second. I'm not sure which part you're not seeing. Do you mean this? Um, can you let me know which thing you're not seeing? I'm not really sure what you're referring to. The code to be. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's because the code is quite long and the chat only let me send a little bit at a time, so I'm just working out a way to send all of it at once. So I'm gonna have to send it in 2 parts, which I will send now. Sorry about that. No, there's no chart up now. Right, I've just sent some code in. Please bear with me for a second. There's a second part to it. It's just because it was really long. So I'm just going to send the second part in. So please don't copy it yet because it's not the complete code. Right, it's still quite long. I'm gonna have to send it in 3 parts. There's the second part, and now I'm going to send the third part. Still a little bit long. Right, I've just had to send that code in 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in 4 parts because the message was too long to send in one message. Unfortunately, you can only send 1,000 characters in one message. So it is in 4 different messages. So once you copy and paste that code in, please remember to copy all 4 messages together. Don't forget that. And I'll show you exactly where to put that now. So let me just copy the code. Right, I've just copied that. So I think you can see my screen right now. So where you can see function, my function, just delete that, paste that in, remove this. Okay. So you can see it starts from add ChatGPT menu. All of this code is in there right until the last part that I sent. So if you guys just want to put that into yours, and then let me know when you're happy to move on. Does it just save automatically? It should do, yes. May I have the app script information? Sure. Let me show you what's happening here. So once you created your sheet like so, you need to go to extensions, and then within extensions, you'll see this app script. And if you click on that, it will open up this file in a new tab. Once you're in that, you'll see there's a tiny amount of code. Just delete that, and using the code that I sent into the chat, copy and paste that in instead. And then it should look like this. You can see we've got all this code in here. Can I resend the code again? Oh yeah, sure. I'm just wondering if there's an easier way to send this. Is everyone doing all right? Are there any questions, problems? Right, that should be all of the code again. Yep, that's all of the code again. So I think what we will do is, because I know we haven't actually got to the question and answers yet, So let's get on with it. And the next thing that we need to do is, if you look at this code here, there should be a line here, line 35, that says variable API key, and it says your API key here. So what we now need to do is, if you remember earlier on, when we created the API key, we now need to use that here. So if you delete that line and you make it equal to your key that you generated when you created that key on the OpenAI website earlier on, and I asked you guys to make a note of your key, if you just replace what was written there, which was your API key here, if you replace that with the key that you created, we will then move on after that, but just make sure it should be line 35 for you. If it's not, if you have an extra line or something, just find the line that says variable API key equals. I'll just leave it on that bit for now, just so you can see that. So make sure you put your API key in there, and then give me a thumbs up when you're ready to do. You're a bit lost. The chat, if there's something specifically you're missing, if you need any information, we will definitely send that to you. So don't worry at all. Is there something specific that you want to get information about, or is it the code? I think I've sent a lot of information to the chat, so don't worry, all of that will be sent to you. You can't get into app script yet. Do you want to let me know which point you're at, and I will try my best to help you? Is there a way to do this without inputting our API key directly into the code? Yes, there is. It is a little bit longer. It isn't pink like it's supposed to be black. That should still be fine. Are you seeing, so the rest of your code, are you seeing this in a different color, or is everything black? Okay, so in terms of the question about the API key, there are two ways to do this. So like I've said, what you can do is where it says variable API key, you can just copy and paste that in, and like so. You shouldn't share your API key with anyone. And the other way of doing it is, like it says, slightly more effort. And what you want to do is, within your sheet, you can create a new page within your sheet, which is called settings. And then within that, you can then paste your API key into the cell A3. So all of these paste your API key here. That's just to make it obvious to you where to put it. So if you put in A3, that should be that should work. And make sure, like it says, that it's in the settings sheet, otherwise it won't work. So like when you create a new sheet, I can show you here, it says sheet 1. What you need to do is you can do plus and then create a new one. I'm just going to delete that for now because I'm not going to be doing that. And make sure it's in the settings sheet, otherwise it won't work. Tonya, I think it should still be fine. Just double check that it's definitely the right key that was created, like all of it is the key and you're not missing any characters. But if it's definitely the right one and it's the right line, it should be fine, so don't worry. And would you please post a link to this recording? Of course, we will send you the recording. The recording will be posted, so don't worry if you're behind. I think just follow along with what's happening now, and then you can catch up when you watch the recording. In terms of this method number 2, because I'm not going to go through that now, I am going to skip ahead. But if anyone was interested in knowing how it works, that's how it would work. And then you just have to change this one line in the code, which is telling the script to take the key from the settings sheet. So like it says here, you can do this, get sheet by name, settings. This will be in the recording, so I'm not going to go through this in too much detail. Otherwise, it's going to eat into our time to see what's actually happening. But now we're going to get on to the most important step in order to start asking and creating our answers, which is deploying the app script. So if you guys have put in your key now, what we are going to do is we're going to click deploy up here in the top right corner, if you guys can see that. And I'm going to click deploy. I'm going to click new deployment. Then this little pop-up should come up. And within that, here where it says select type, I'm going to click web app. So I've clicked the cogs web app. And then it's asking me to do all of these things. I'm not going to put any description in there. Who has access? Only myself. So as you can see, I've just left it how the default is. I'm not going to change anything here. And I'm just going to click deploy because it will take a few minutes for that to work. So I've just clicked it. And I know I went through that bit a little bit fast. So if you have any questions, just let me know. For anyone that missed that, what I just did was I went to deploy, which is in the top right corner over there. A little pop-up came up. And what I did was I went on deploy new and I clicked on web app and then deploy. And please note, something might come up that says authorize access. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to authorize that so it can continue deploying. Okay, you got an error based on line 35. Do you want to send me a screenshot of the error message or what your line 35 looks like, and I can see if there's any issues there? Meanwhile, while you're deploying, it should look something like this, and I'll just click done. And so it is deploying. I'm getting a security error. Do you want to send a picture of what error you're getting? If it was something like mine, I just bypassed that and carried on. Hmm. Can you also send me what your line 35 looks like the actual code in the line, and then I'll see if there's any issues there. I can't see what the issue is right now. If I go back to the code, based on what you can see on my page, is there anything different about yours? Maybe there's an extra character in there or something's missing. Right. Um, I would recommend, we are getting close to the end, so I don't really want to rush this. I will ask this to be continued in the next session, just so everyone does have some practice of this. But I would recommend starting from when we were on the sheets again, and then going from app script and then taking the code and putting it in again, just in case there was some issue in the process. Um, I would verify the app to go ahead and bypass the error. Because we are getting towards the end, I'm going to show you what it should look like, and then you guys can practice. And if you have any more issues, we can start that in the next lesson and continue with this. But I'm just going to show you what should be happening, just so you guys can see it in this session, what should be happening. And so what I've done is, because I'm now deployed, this is my sheet now, and I can actually see there's something here that says ChatGPT. So that just means everything is working as it should. And the next step is actually to create two column headers called prompt and response. So what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to write, let's call it prompt, and let's call this one response. And then going back to this, I can then ask a question and then get it to generate a response. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is the weather like today? Let's just make this wider so you can see this. And going back to this, I need to write equals chat A2 in the response column. So I can say equals chat A2 like so. I can do that. And I'm getting an error. 1 second. Right, I think because we are so close to the end of the session, I think we'll pick up and actually go through this properly in the next lesson because I don't want to rush all the errors and everything that people have got right now. But just to show you an example of what should be happening is like so. You can enter your questions in this column right here. And then once you put in this formula, which is equals chat A2, it should then create a response at the end in the response column, and then you can ask multiple questions, and then alongside each prompt, you should see the response next to it. And so some final thoughts before we come back to this in the next lesson. You can actually edit the contextual prompt within the file. So like you can see here, you can see messages, and it's telling ChatGPT what to do. So they're taking the role of an experienced content writer, and it's telling it what the writing style should be. So what you can do is, if you want to play around with that, you can then change the prompt and it will answer from different perspectives. So you can automate some repetitive writing tasks, summarize information, automate questions and answers, plus a lot more. And so obviously I can see there's a lot of errors, there's a lot of issues in there. We will put the code to this in the community support. And I think everyone should have the link to that. If not, I will find the link and put it in the chat now. But we'll put the recording up, we'll put this up, and we will get back to this in the next lesson, just so that it's working for everyone. But yeah, I do see some errors in the chat. I'm not seeing a chat GPT menu. That does happen if you don't click on app script, if you don't create the app script. So just make sure that's working and it opened up fine. In the meantime, I am here for a few minutes if anyone has any questions for now, but we will get back to this and I will send the links I said I was going to send to. So please let me know if you have any questions for today and then we will come back to this. So I've just sent the link to that. If you go on to the Coding with Codex website and then you sign in, you'll be able to see the community support chat. So if you have any issues and if you want to continue trying this and if you have any questions with that, you can then ask it on there and one of the team will get back to you. You'll also see our recordings on there, the code on there, and some of the links that I sent earlier on today. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not a topic that I would rush. And so I was a little bit worried about going through it too quickly and having everyone with errors. So please have a go in your own time. And yeah, we will come back to this as a group. So don't worry at all. I am still here if there's any questions. But yeah, I think we are done. So feel free to leave if you guys are ready to leave. And in the meantime, any questions, let me know. Oh, don't forget to fill out the form just so we know that you were here and for any feedback too. So don't forget about that. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting now. Bye everyone. Have a great week. See you. Bye.